I decided to entitle my talk Pennies from Heaven, based on the song, Every Time It Rains, Pennies from Heaven. But I've given a little different twist. I put a question mark there. Pennies from heaven? Maybe pennies from heaven aren't always beneficial. Maybe benefactors have other purposes. Maybe benefactors aren't the nice people that they often seem, and so I'm sort of going to take that twist. And I think I'm particularly going to emphasize the part in the song about when your fortune's falling, make sure you turn your umbrella upside down, because pennies will just fall into it. And what kind of attitude does that foster in American history and in American society? Bigwig's pretty straightforward. It comes out of English history when the lords and ladies and the judges and the people in Parliament all had to wear wigs. And so people thought that you got a lot of influence, you got a lot of power, you wear a wig, you're a big wig. I tried to find big wig examples from American history, and I thought, well, George Washington, there he is, you know. That was his own hair. He just powdered it. Bigwig really comes out of the English tradition. It's ultimately from the Latin, meaning well done or good deed or something like that. It goes back to the 1400s when it first appeared. The Carnegies and the Rockefellers. And they've got, of course, a Colorado presence. Rockefeller owned the Colorado Fuel and Iron Company and the coal mines. Many events for Pikes Peak Library District are held in the Carnegie Library. When did benefaction become the thing to do? Why did benefactors do it? Why did they continue to do it? And then we can see when it evolves in the Pikes Peak region, because of course it comes after the mining rush and once the fortunes are established, and that's more into the 20th century than, say, benefaction in American history in the 19th century. But the model was sort of there for our bigwigs and benefactors. When the program was announced, and my wife comes to all of these, she said, oh, I suppose somebody will just get up and say, well, this person was really important and they were born in and they lived and they gave their money and they died. And then the next person will get up and say the same thing, and by noon we'll all be bored out of our minds. And it's not going to be that way at all. It's totally, all of the topics are unique, and there's a fascinating perspective on all of these people that isn't just straight biography. Of course, names come immediately to mind, like Stratton, like the Penroses, the Tutts, many, of course, who made their fortunes in mining and then endowed foundations or homes or something here in the Pikes Peak region. There's a whole session on unexpected bigwigs and benefactors, and we have the mafia on the Front Range. We have American Indians and tourism in the Pikes Peak region. And we've got Fred Wade Barr with the Barr Trail. There will be a couple of women benefactresses in the day's program, but I'm going to be commenting on a few others. One of those is going to be Alice Bemis Taylor, who endowed the Fine Arts Center, the Colorado Springs Day School, Colorado College. So as a patron of the Fine Arts Center, every time I go in, I think, hey, thanks, Alice. And we hear about B. Vredenberg and the Vredenberg Foundation on the radio, the classical station, when we go to Philharmonic concerts. One other section of the program is all about our greatest benefactor, and that's William Jackson Palmer. But once again, it's kind of interesting that the speakers aren't going to concentrate on Palmer, but they're going to sort of circle around the statue in the middle of Platt Avenue and say, well, what about the Palmer girls? What about Palmer's associates? And that will be interesting. The question that I Googled and couldn't find any information on was, does a local benefactor or benefactress, or does a national benefactor have a negative effect on civic responsibility? Talking with friends about this over coffee, coming from different parts of the country, they'd say, oh, well, you know, in this town it was the Lilly Foundation, and then I saw on TV, Peoria, Illinois, it's the Caterpillar Tractor Company. My sister-in-law lives in Moline, Illinois, well, everybody looks to John Deere. And so what does that do as far as public investment in a community? Does it stimulate public interest in investment, or does it have a negative impact on public interest in investment? But as I say, I couldn't find any paper on Google that said, well, here, Mike, let us fill you in. And we've had 7, analyses of this, and here's the conclusion, and there's a nice pie chart. There wasn't anything like this. A day doesn't go by that I don't think, now that I've been pushed into benefactors and bigwigs, think, oh, look that, oh, isn't that interesting? Oh, you know, that money came from, or gee, why did that person do that? Why did he, she have that particular interest? Well, they're all over town. You can go up and talk to them. There's Stratton, you know, there's Penrose. Their statues are all over town. And while that's common in every American city, all your benefactors get done. Ours are kind of different. Ours are sort of standing around looking at what they did. Even if you're a visitor to town, you realize that there has been an impact on the community at least a dozen times a year, maybe more. I'll be with some group or at some club meeting or something, and somebody will say, I saw you on TV last night. They watch these symposia later on. They attend them. They've always been sold out. And what they do is they, dear to a historian's heart, they stimulate an interest and an appreciation for history and why we study history in the general public. It's vetted and it's academic, but it's appealing, and it's continued to be that.